So now we are back for segment two, which is a little bit of just a thought piece I had, just a little bit of a conversation starter as well. International players coming over from different leagues, MPB, Korea as well, some other ones. How are they going to adjust to the MLB? Obviously, it's a big adjustment, and with more international players in the league probably ever before, not just from Hispanic and Latino countries, but with Hispanic players, you're getting more Asian players like Korean, Japanese. So I think it's just a really exciting time for baseball with how much different cultures and people are in the league. And I think when looking at this, though, you do have to look at how players are going to adjust and adjust to the team, the league, and just the different opponents and stuff like that as well. So first, we're going to start off with uh, Mr. $325 million, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Now, Yamamoto is probably the greatest Japanese pitcher of all time, I'd say. Even though he wasn't there for that long, he is still probably the greatest Japanese pitcher ever, which is why the Dodgers gave him $325 million. And that's why another team also gave him $325 million. That's why another team offered him $300 million. So he got two offers, $325 million, and another offer of $300 million. I'd say that means teams expect him to do really good. I think this is gonna be pretty quick. I expect him to adjust pretty perfectly. Um, he got that money for a reason. It's because he's really, really good, and he's going to be really, really good in the MLB. He has some of the better pitches we've seen: fastball, forkball, just some incredible pitches, incredible stuff coming over. And really, when you're trying to project pitchers coming over, you want to look at stuff because stuff always plays. And he has some of the best stuff we've seen in years. And I really believe in him being really good. That's why I pushed for my team so hard to sign him. Unfortunately, we came in second, so nothing we can do about that. But I think he's going to be great for the Dodgers. I think he's going to be a top three pitcher in the league fairly soon. I mean, I really can't say enough stuff how amazing he is. Teams maybe, I think a lot of fans were wondering, well, this guy hasn't thrown a pitch in the major leagues ever. Why are they giving him this much money? Which I think it's a fair thought, but we'll watch him play and we'll see very soon why so many teams offered him so much money and why the Dodgers, one of the better organizations in baseball, probably the best organization in baseball, sorry, gave him $325 million. Next, talked about him before, Jung-Hoo Lee. So Jung-Hoo Lee's different because obviously he's an outfielder and he's hitting and he's from Korea, not Japan. So Korea is, I would say, a little lower than Japan, as I mentioned before. I'd say it's probably AAA, while Japan is probably 4A. So I would think it makes sense that he might have a little bit more of a learning curve. Now the Giants gave him a 6-year deal, which was not expected at all. What I saw most people expecting was around a 4-year, $80 million contract. Now most people had him going to the Padres, as it made too much sense. The Padres needed outfielders. They saved a lot of money with Soto being traded, and he was best friends with their shortstop, second baseman Ha-Seong Kim, both playing in Korea together. So that made sense. But going to the Giants was a big surprise until we saw the contract, which was enormous. So now I think the Giants are a really good organization. So they must see something in Jung-Hoo Lee that I don't. Now, I think he's a really good player, and I think he's going to be a good player in the MLB. It's just 6 years, $113 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a guy who come over from Korea, who was a really good hitter in Korea, really good defender. But again, Korea is not the toughest league in the world. He had some ankle problems as well. He fought last year, which may have some negative effects on his defense, which is where a lot of his value lies. He's going to be a center fielder here again, unless his ankle problems flare up. Now, if his ankle problems do flare up, I think that's a big problem for the Giants because, again, most of his value, I'd say, comes from being a great defender. I think he's going to be a really good hitter in the league, maybe like 110, 115 WRC plus guy. Weighted runs created plus, which is the set I like to use most for hitter evaluation and see how good they are. I think he's going to be a good player, but I don't know necessarily if he's going to be a superstar or a star. So I thought the contract was a little much, and I think he's going to have some trouble adjusting. But the Giants are a really good organization, and if they see something in him that made them give him this contract, I trust them. Next, we have Shoto Imanaga. Now, Imanaga is another interesting case because at the start of the season, we were all expecting him to get around $100 million, maybe a 4-year deal, something in the ballpark of what Kodai Senga at the Mets got. But as we learned more of Imanaga and got more to his signing deadline, we realized he probably was not going to get that. And he got a really weird deal with the Cubs that has a lot of different factors and different and incentives. And that kind of is an issue with me. I think it raises a lot of red flags. Um, Imanaga is a really good pitcher. He has a lot of good stuff. He's older, so he knows how to just work the strike zone, kind of be that type of pitcher. But he needs to fix his Omer issues. He needs to fix the home runs. I think that was the big reason why. He gave up a lot of home runs in the MVP, a lot. And now you're going to the MLB where the hitters are much better. It's going to be a problem. And I think that's why a lot of teams didn't give him the contract people from the outside were expecting. Now, I think this is a good sign by the Cubs, I will say. I'm a little nervous because of all the stuff they did give him. But at the same time, the Cubs needed a starter. And if they think they can develop Imanaga to be a really good starting pitcher in the MLB, it makes sense. They lost Stroman. They needed another guy in there to match with Justin Steele, who had a breakout season last year and is undoubtedly an ace in the league right now. So I get why they signed him. I'm just a little worrisome because of the incentives in his contract and just kind of the whole contract structure. It kind of signals worry to me about the Cubs and what he's going to do in the MLB. But I think at its very worst, it's only a 2-year deal. I may be reading that wrong because the contract is very confusing. But so if he's not that good, they could just move on quickly. But it's still one of their bigger signings, probably their biggest signing. I mean, the only real signing they had other than that is Hector Neris. They could re-sign Cody Bellinger, but again, that might not be. We don't know about that, and that might not be for a little bit. So I think they're banking on him to be good, as they should be. So next here we have Woo Suk Gu, who has an unfortunate name that I think will be. I think it won't be. Sorry. I think it'll be not great if he struggles in the MLB. Let's just put it that way. For fans. Um, but I think he's a really good pitcher. He's coming over from Korea, one of the better Korean relief pitchers. The Padres signed him to a 1-year deal, kind of really low risk. Um, so yeah, I mean the Padres, as we're gonna move down here, they're gonna see this. They are very in touch in the international market, which I think is good for their fans. They were big on Senga before he signed with the Mets last year. They signed Ha-Seong Kim a few years ago, obviously, and that's turned out really well. And they also signed Yuki Matsui, who we're going to talk about next. So him and Usaku, I think, is a good addition to the Padres bullpen. I think it's kind of low risk, but the Padres obviously see something in him that they think he's going to be a really good reliever in this league. So yeah, I think it makes sense. Preller is good with the international market. You say a lot of things about him and how crazy he is, but I think he knows what he's doing when it comes to international players. Next, we're going to talk about another international reliever that signed Yuki Matsui. So he was one of the better closers in the NPB, which is the Nippon Professional Baseball League, which is Japan's professional baseball league. I believe someone called him the Japanese Billy Wagner, which is a very good thing, I'd say, for Billy Wagner, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame next year, and who should have been in the Hall of Fame already. Want to make that clear about Billy Wagner. Him not being in the Hall of Fame is a travesty, but we'll get to that at a different time. Matsui signed a 5-year, $28 million deal. I thought it was a really good deal. I expect him to get more. Obviously, the Padres lost Josh Hader this offseason, going to the Astros. We never thought they were going to re-sign Hader, but they still needed a reliever, a lockdown one, and specifically a lefty one. If they believe Matsui can be that guy, and which I think they are believing because they gave him a 5-year deal, you're replacing Hader at a really good value here. $28 million, that's not a bad deal. If I don't expect him to be the lockdown guy he was in MPB, but he's still going to be a really good lefty reliever, I'd say, and maybe a pretty good closer in this league. So I like the signing here by the Padres. He has good stuff, I think. I think he'll adjust well to MLB. Same with Woo Suk-gu. Again, I think the Padres are good with this kind of stuff. You've seen how they've done it with Ha-Sung Kim. Even Robert Suarez, a guy who came over internationally, he adjusted well and he became a lockdown reliever for them. Was injured last year, but I think he'll get better this year and be a closer and be kind of the hitter replacement. Next we have, I really hope I'm pronouncing this name right. If not, I apologize. Naoyuki Uwasawa. He signed a minor league deal actually with the Rays, which is very interesting here. So he was kind of a innings eater in Japan. But there were some rumors that he did get posted, and there are some rumors that he would get a major league contract. Of course, he didn't. He got a minor league contract with the Rays. Just looking at him now, he just kind of needs better stuff in general. He had really good results in the MPB, but at the same, he does need some more better stuff if he's going to succeed in the MLB. Now he did sign with the Rays because he likes their pitching development, which I think was a good decision by him. He said he turned down some major league contracts to sign with the Rays, which again I think is a very good decision. The Rays are one of the better organizations in baseball, especially for pitching development. So I like this a lot for him. I think if anyone could develop him, it's the Rays. They obviously see something in him to give him a contract. And if they don't think he's ready in spring training, just have him in AAA and develop him there. So I like the signing for both the player and the team. I thought it was a good fit. Anytime you can sign with the Rays for your pitcher, I think is a good thing for you. You've seen so many pitchers' careers be just revitalized by them. So I really like this signing. Finally, we have a really interesting one. Yariel Rodriguez signed with the Blue Jays. Now, this is a really interesting situation. So last year, he was playing for the NPB team in Japan, and he was in America for the World Baseball Classic, and he just stayed in America. He is from Cuba, so he defected. And since then, we've been hearing a lot about him, how he might sign, what his strengths and weaknesses are. So what we've learned about him now is the Blue Jays signed him, obviously. So they signed him really to be kind of a swingman, to be a guy who can fill in on rotation some days if someone's hurt or needs just a day off, an extra day to rest, but also be a long relief guy in the bullpen or just be a lockdown reliever if everything else kind of doesn't go their way. So you look at him right now, he has a great slider, one of the better sliders probably in the MLB right away, which is good. You want to start off with something, a good pitch. What I've heard is that he needs a better fastball. He needs to develop that more. He needs to just get it going more. In the MLB, you need a good fastball, and I think I think it'll be really good for him if he does develop a fastball. And I think the Blue Jays are good with pitching development. Seen the past few years, you've seen how their rotation is right now. I think they know what they're doing. So I think it's a good organizational fit for him. I think if he gets the better fastball, he can be a pretty good. He can be a good starter or a really good reliever in this league. I think he has to pick one. I think I would project him more as a 4 or 5 starter or a lockdown reliever. Now you can argue which one is more valuable, but that's what I think is going to happen here. So I like the signing. It's very interesting though to have a guy from Cuba come over at this age and with this situation. But I like it for both the team and the player, and I thought it was a good signing for the Jays, who did need more pitching depth. They weren't really on the big guys except Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who obviously did not sign with them. They weren't even really a finalist. So I like the signing. Just to recap here, Jung-Hoo Lee, I think might have some problems at the start, but I think overall will be a good player. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, no worries. I'll say there. Shoto Minaga, good. I think he'll be okay, but it's definitely a risk with the contract and with the situations he's had with coming over the MLB, with the home run problems as well. Wusaku, Yuki Matsui, kind of bunch them in together because they're both in the same team and both international relievers. I think they'll be good. I think the Padres know what they're doing, and I think they'll develop well. And now Yuki Uwasawa, again, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. I think he'll be good with the Rays because they know how to develop pitching, and I think it's a really good fit for him. Okay, so that was the end of segment 2. We're going to go to another break here, but when we come back, we'll be talking about segment 3, which is